Good afternoon and welcome to the Big Show. The Big Show is, well, we come at you every day. We try and do it about 5 o'clock. We try and get to lots of different topics. And, of course, the Big Show is brought to you by Archie's on Carson Street. Get down to Archie's, home of 80-cent wings Monday through Thursday, home of the Paul Zeise grilled cheese sandwich. Also, it is brought to you by FanDuel. And, of course, FanDuel is the app that keeps all of us gambling, I guess, is the best way to say it. But get it to FanDuel and enjoy a lot of different types of bets, and we will get to that a little bit later. So FanDuel and Archie's, we thank you as well. Steelers won 21-14 on Sunday. It is a game that has left many people with far more questions about the Steelers than probably answers, probably from the standpoint of the fact that the Steelers at times did not look so good, and at other times did look good. But the reality is there's still a lot of work that needs to be done. And I guess the number one question you ask, and I ask all the time, and I think it's a fair question, and that is, okay, how much room for growth is there for this Steelers team? That's the question that I think people should be asking. Not whether or not they won the other day. And again, it's good. I'm glad they won for their sakes. It keeps things interesting, I guess. If they'd have lost to the Patriots, I don't know. If you lose to the Patriots, it's probably not a good thing this early in the season. But at the end of the day, I think one of the things that is important is that it's early. And so what I would tell you is you probably want to understand that it's really, really important for a team to get better week to week for at least the first few weeks of the season. And what I mean by that is it is going to be imperative for this team to get better. It's going to be imperative for this team to get better in certain areas. And I think that's where you have to look at it, because they have a shot maybe to be a team that gets to the playoffs and does some other good things. But the other part of the situation is this. If they don't get better, I just don't know how good they're actually really going to be, to be honest. And that's perfect. Just being perfectly honest, that's where I'm at with it. So you look at, defensively, I think we saw some good things the other day on the defense. I think there was some stuff that they did yesterday. They finally got back to some high impact plays. Their stars showed up, all that other good stuff. I'm not terribly concerned about the defense. I know that sounds crazy because they did get gassed for a bunch of yards, and they needed 5 turnovers basically to win the game. But I think they forced some of those turnovers. 1, 2, I think there are some components that I like. Derek Harmon is a big factor, and I think he'll get better once they get Highsmith back and Joey Porter back, and Deshaun Elliott. They'll have some depth. I think moving Cole Holcomb into the starting lineup. I mean, I just, there's a number of things that I can see where I can tell you, I think 2 or 3 weeks down the road, the defense is going to be fine. So let's not really talk about the defense yet. Let's talk about the offense. What is the ceiling for the offense? How high can the offense go? I think really the answer to that question, you have to start with this question. What is the identity of the offense? Is the offense a running offense? Is it a passing offense? Is it an offense that is multiple? Is it a spread offense? I mean, what is the identity? We heard so much about it being a run-first offense with, tight end heavy sets and all this other stuff. I don't know what it is. I mean, can you really be a run-heavy offense when your running back averages 2.4 yards per carry? Or was it 2.5, whatever it was? I think that's a question that you have to ask. Can you be a pass-first offense when they won't let your quarterback throw the ball more than 20 yards down the field? I mean, probably the best passing play, well, I guess the touchdown to Calvin Austin, but the second best passing play was the Joe Flacco, close your eyes, chuck and hope, and get a miracle flag, down the sidelines. I think it was, who was it? Was it DK Metcalf that, the New England's quarterback sort of tied up a little bit? The ball was out of bounds and probably uncatchable, but doesn't matter. But can you be a passing offense when they won't let your quarterback, or at least seemingly it's not part of your offense, to throw the ball down the field? Because what happens is, we've seen this so many times over the last 4 or 5 years, really since Ben Roethlisberger, had his surgery on his arm. Teams start to bracket you. They start to, creep up on the line. They start to take away some of your, underneath stuff in your running game if they have no fear of you beating them over the top. And right now, nobody should have any fear of the Steelers doing that. They don't even try to do that. Now, I'm not saying that Aaron Rodgers can't do that. I'm just saying we really haven't seen that. So, to me, I think that this team and how far it can go and how good it can be, it's contingent on the offense getting much better. Because I think the defense is going to get better. They've gotten incrementally better every week. I think the defense will be, in a couple of weeks, they'll be really pretty good. I think they'll get back to it. Derek Harmon, like I said, Alex Highsmith. Now they have Holcomb in the middle when they get, Deshaun Elliott back and Joey Porter Jr., and they can shuffle some guys around. I really think they'll be fine. There'll be a defense that will be able to shut other teams down and get the stops that they need to get and all that other stuff. But that's only half the equation. And to me, the other half is the offense, and that's a big question right now for the Steelers. And I'll tell you what the biggest question mark is. Well, besides the fact what I was just saying there, I don't know that they have an identity. It doesn't feel like they have an identity. That's the problem. And I think that's where it becomes, a question that you're able to ask, like, hey, if you don't have an identity, okay, how good can you become? Like, how high can you rise? So I think that's the first thing they need to figure out. The second thing is, and this probably goes back to the simplest form, the simplest and easiest form of offense. Can you win up front? Can you win up front? Can you do the things you need to do up front in order to allow you to do the things behind the offensive line? And I'm going to tell you this much right now. If the offensive line doesn't get much, much better, I don't care what else happens. They will be the offense we saw yesterday, where they had scripted plays to start the game, right? Aaron Rodgers made a couple of key throws late, and they were able to, get a couple of touchdowns, and, they had one that was aided by a turnover for the other team. So, 20 points is going to be what they're able to get, because they're going to be really easy to defend. And you've got teams that are out there that have pretty good rush ends, and you've got teams that are out there that have got good defensive lines. Those teams are going to give the Steelers problems until the Steelers prove they can handle those teams. Steelers have to prove they can handle those teams. And they haven't done that yet. They have to prove it. But they haven't done that yet. So I think if you look at the right tackle situation, has not been good at all. Troy Fautanu, again, nobody's going to give up on him because, well, Nobody is going to say, it's his third game. Give him time. The problem is the Steelers really don't have time. But he's got to get better. Each week, he's got to get better. Because the reality is he's allowing as much pressure as Broderick Jones is. It just seems like the guys that are beating Broderick Jones are the ones getting the sacks. But Broderick Jones on the left side has not been very good either. And, you've got two guys who are your tackles. And the most disappointing part of that, they were both first-round picks. I mean, it's not like you're piecing together veterans or guys who, these are two guys that are supposed to have the pedigree to be really, really good. And again, Fautanu has got time. But I don't know if the Steelers have time to wait for him. Like, does he figure it out in game 9 or 10? Does he figure it out next year? I don't know. I just know when I look at him, I say, I don't know that I fit that he's a guy, in my mind at least, I don't know that he's a guy who you can wait for anymore. I just don't think that's the case. I think he's a guy you can't wait for, actually. I think he's a guy that probably, if you think about it, he's somebody who you're going to have to say to yourself, well, if he's not good enough, we need to find somebody for this year to be good enough. Because this team has a lot of guys, and this is it. This is it for them. This is their year, period. But they're going to have to get better. Broderick Jones. But here's the other thing. The two tackles have stolen a lot of the spotlight. I don't necessarily think Zach Frazier's been great. And I don't think Mason McCormick's been great either. Now, again, they're young. 4 out of the 5 guys that are starting are, in their first or second year. I get it. But they've got to get better and get better in a hurry. So, to me, one of the reasons they can't run the ball, obviously, they're not very good at run blocking right now. One of the reasons they can't pass the ball very well, they're not very good at pass blocking either. That has to get better. That has to improve. And the other part of that is they have to be able to protect Aaron Rodgers far more, okay, than they have. He cannot take the shots he's taken. He cannot continue to get hit like he's gotten hit. He cannot continue to do that. Because at the end of the day, if that happens, he is not going to survive the season. There's no way. He took some really big hits yesterday. Really, really big hits. Some where I didn't know if he was going to get up. So it's not just about protecting him from sacks. He's getting hit a lot. And I think when, you see your quarterback who's 26, 27 getting hit like that, you worry about him. Your quarterback that's 41, 42 getting hit like that, you wonder how many times more is he going to continue to be able to get up. And so to me, I think that really the key to this season now focuses almost exclusively on the offensive line. Those 5 guys, because like I said, I feel like the defense will get better, and I feel like if the offense is going to improve, it has to be those guys. I mean, that's really, to me, the easiest place to look at and say they better get better. Are you having trouble finding the right people to hire? Tired of sorting through endless resumes? Well, the future of hiring looks much brighter because ZipRecruiter's latest tools and features help speed up finding the right people for your roles. So you save valuable time, and now you can try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/audio. With ZipRecruiter's new advances, you can easily find and connect with qualified candidates in minutes. See a candidate you're really interested in, you can unlock their contact info instantly. Use ZipRecruiter, save time hiring. 4 out of 5 employers who post ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. If You go to ZipRecruiter.com/audio right now. You can try it for free. Again, that's ZipRecruiter.com/audio. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. Okay, so we are in a place now. We are at a place where it is time to kind of look at what happened yesterday with the offense. I think one of the things is really simple. It's one of those situations where they got really, really conservative. So to me, it's one of those things where I think that they need to stop being so afraid of things. There were a couple of points of the game yesterday that I didn't like. One, when you have an offense that's struggling to score and you have a kicker that has just made last week or whatever it was, the week before, a 60-yard field goal. To me, if you're within 60 yards, you're in his range now. Give him a chance to kick a field goal, and they didn't do that yesterday. And then it would be actually in a place where you also, and this is really frustrating, they continue to just run the ball into a brick wall. Boom, boom, boom. First down, second down. It was almost like you could predict it. As long as they had the lead, well, we don't have to throw the ball. I mean, are you that afraid of throwing the ball? I think Mike Tomlin is, a defensive coach, so he's conservative by nature. I get all that stuff. But the reality to me is, he's got to get to a point where he is able to open up the offense and allow them to play football a little bit. I think that's one of the things that's the most frustrating to me, is that they don't allow him to play football. And it's just going to be a situation of where let Aaron Rodgers throw the ball. Let your offense play offense. Let your guys that are, the guys that are basically making a little bit of money, let's try and let them do what they are paid to do. And the way that the game is played now, when you get a 14-0 lead, most teams try and make it a 21-0 lead. But the Steelers seem to be in a place where they are really, really just afraid of that. And I don't get it. Don't like it, really, to be honest. I think that this was a game where they should basically have really tried, to push the lead to 21-0, 24-0 if they can. But they get into this rut where they just run the ball, and punt. There's something to be said, because Mike Tomlin is a very conservative coach. Run the ball. But they weren't able to run the ball. And basically the defense had to keep getting the ball back from the offense. And if you look at the 3 games that they've played, the 2 that they've won have almost been because of the magic of Aaron Rodgers at the end of the game. I get that's why you brought him here, but don't you think you need to do better than that? I don't know. I think that's part of the offense too. I don't like Arthur Smith's offense. I don't like Arthur Smith's play calling. And I think the offensive line has not been very good. That's a trifecta of a deadly combination that just isn't going to work. So again, I go back all the way full circle to saying, I think the defense will get better. I do. I think it's going to be fine. From what we've seen for 3 weeks here, I think the defense will get better. I think once they get all their pieces in place, once everyone sort of knows their role, once Derek Harmon really gets integrated into everything, I think they're going to be fine. Will they be like some of those historically great defenses? Probably not, but they'll be good. They'll be among the better units, in the AFC or even in the NFL. So I think that, and we'll talk about that a little bit at a later date, what exactly I think can happen for the defense. But to me, the offense is the question. And the question I have is really, again, how good can it be? And I got real questions after watching this team for 3 weeks. The Jets game was great, but we've seen the Jets stink. And quite frankly, the Steelers needed every inch of their power to try and beat that, to try and win that game against a really bad team. And I think that's the key to me. They weren't even good enough to beat a really bad team. And they needed to figure it out, or they were going to probably have an issue, from the standpoint of, like, I think it's going to be great, except for this. It's just going to be really, a situation of where they're going to be good enough on some level, but I don't know what level. That's the problem. So, anyway, we look at tonight's NFL game, by the way. Go to FanDuel Casino, FanDuel Sportsbook. You can download the app, you can bet it, and everything else. And I think that if you look at FanDuel tonight, what do they have going? Well, they've got the Lions and the Ravens. Ravens are minus 4.5. The over-under is 53.5. It's a lot of points in this game. I know the Ravens have given up a lot of points. I know at times the Lions have. I know both of these offenses score. That's a lot of points, though, 53.5. When you talk about a Monday Night Football game. But here's kind of what I like about the FanDuel app. They have these suggested same-game parlays that you can choose on FanDuel. Here's the one I like, because I think 53.5 points, I could see it go. I could make a case that it's going to be a lot lower than that. I could make a case that it's going to be like a 42-35 type shootout. I don't think so. If I had to lean one way or the other, I'd lean maybe under, slightly under. But on FanDuel, this is what I like here. You could bet, and this is 12 plus 12, 17, which means it's basically 12 to 1. You bet $10, you win $121. You ready? Derrick Henry, anytime touchdown score. Jahmyr Gibbs, anytime touchdown score. Zay Flowers, anytime touchdown score. Amon-Ra St. Brown, anytime touchdown score. 4 touchdowns at least. You bet it. You get 10 to or 12 to 1 on your money. Those are the kind of things that make watching Monday Night Football great or fun. And I'll tell you why I like those kind of bets better than just betting the game, because those kind of bets are almost always still alive, unless one of your guys gets hurt early in the game. But even if the game's sort of a dog, it keeps you in a place where you can at least watch and enjoy. So you can download the FanDuel app, enjoy yourself, and do everything you can do when it comes to making the Monday Night Football game, well, a little bit more enjoyable. Now then, we talked about the offense. Let's talk about the defense, because that's the thing that I would tell you has a chance for the Steelers to get better, and much better, actually. The defense. I think what I saw yesterday from the defense from Derek Harmon is that he's got a shot to be pretty good. And I think the thing about him is he's got a shot to be pretty good pretty quickly. Like, they limited his count or whatever. It was 35 snaps. I thought he showed up. And I thought you could see a lot from him. I thought he played really well in so many ways. And so to me, it's one of those things where I look at him and what he did, and I say, this guy can be a difference maker. This guy might be the difference between this team being really good and this team just sort of being average. This guy might be the difference. This guy might be the one who can come in, and we're going to watch him. Basically, we're going to watch him solve a lot of their run defense problems. You combine that with Cole Holcomb being inserted and playing a lot more than Peyton Wilson, who I mean, I understand why people like Peyton Wilson because every so often he flashes and makes a play, but I just think he's painfully average, especially against the run. I just think he's sort of a guy. Now, he'll be okay. He's fine. But the more I watch him, especially against the run, he's overmatched a little bit. But here's what I'll tell you. Honestly, if you look at Cole Holcomb coming in, the one thing he did, he helped against the run. So you add Derek Harmon up front, Cole Holcomb in the inside linebacker spot. You bring back Alex Highsmith. You bring back Deshaun Elliott. You bring back Joey Porter Jr. I think all of a sudden now you start to see this defense take shape. And that's especially true if the two stars, Cam Hayward and TJ Watt, play like they did yesterday, where they make high-impact plays, the kind of plays that they're supposed to make, the kind of plays they're paid to make, the kind of plays that make them stars. If they do that, and you add all that other stuff in, again, is this going to be like the 2000 Ravens or whatever, 2000, whatever year it was, they won the Super Bowl with Trent Dilfer, or the Steelers, a couple of those Steelers teams from the mid-2000s where, teams would cry to try and get 10 yards against that team? Will they be one of those teams? Probably not, but they'll be good. Probably good enough to close out games and win games for you. I think a big thing about it is if you look at the Steelers' schedule, I think one thing that people are missing completely, all these people that are, talking about how this, it's all going to fall apart, blah, blah, blah. You know what they did in the first 3 weeks? They did what you have to do in the first 3 weeks. Because I think the Seahawks might actually be decent, right? But you played two horrible teams, the Jets and the Patriots, and you won them both. Doesn't matter. There's no style points. Coming up, you've got the Browns, who stink. I know they beat the Packers yesterday. Who cares? They're bad. You've got the Bengals twice. And, of course, without Joe Burrow, the Bengals are useless. Right? I would say that you probably have, the advantage in the game against the Dolphins. And the Browns again. That's 5 games right there we're talking about. If you just win those 5 games against bad teams, now you've got 7 wins. At that point, you just basically have to, split or, not even split, just get 2 or 3 more wins against all the rest of your schedule. And you have 8 or 9, 10, you have 9 or 10 wins and you're in the playoffs. So to me, this defense is going to be good enough to win those games, especially if the offense just gets a little bit better. Are they going to be good enough to beat the Ravens or the Bills in the playoffs or maybe even the Chargers? Probably not. Their offense is going to have to get better to that. But you still got a long time to the playoffs. And the offense can be a work in progress. And by then, who knows, maybe the line is going to be a lot better. And, that's good. So to me, I look at that and I say basically, this team is going to make the playoffs because this defense is going to be good enough to get you there. I know it sounds crazy because they've been terrible for 3 weeks, but I saw some things yesterday that leads me to believe that sooner or later, over the next week or two, now that Derek Harmon's back, when they get some of these other guys back, they're going to be good enough. I think, you play the Vikings. It's going to be an ugly game. I think it's going to be, 2 good defenses going at it. I'm not sold on the Vikings yet, not with Carson Wentz because he's Carson Wentz. But at the end of the day, I think that really, if you look at it, it's important to note that, from that standpoint. It's important to understand that I think the defense is good enough to win games against bad teams, especially, and they've got 5 or 6 of them coming up. So to me, they're going to make the playoffs. I don't think there's any question unless they have a rash of injuries. It's a matter of can their offense get good enough so when they make the playoffs, they can win a game when they're there. I'll be off the rest of the week. We'll do this again next week after the Vikings game. I guess I'll see you next Tuesday. Will be the next day that I will talk to all of you. But until then, enjoy the week. Enjoy the Steeler games. We've got plenty of stuff going on here on the YouTube channel, so stay with us because we cover the Steelers and all Pittsburgh sports wall to wall better than anybody.
Thank you for checking out this content from Post-Gazette Sports. If you watch this video on YouTube, please like the video and subscribe to our channel. For all of the sports coverage the Post-Gazette has to offer, visit post-gazette.com.